Joining me now from Toronto is Liberal leader Justin Trudeau. Mr. Trudeau, you're promising an awful lot of money from federal coffers for this program, but how much is this going to cost the provinces?
What we recognize is that we need to invest in the kinds of infrastructure that's going to grow the economy. And that's why we need a federal government to actually step up and invest in the kinds of things that our provinces and municipalities need. That's why we're going to work with them to make sure that we can get the necessary infrastructure built to help Canadians get to and from work in a reasonable amount of time, secure housing, particularly for low-income folks, and making sure that we're resilient to the effects of climate change as well.
Well, you've been very specific about how much federal money is going into this, but I ask again, how much are the provinces going to have to kick in?
Well, one of the things that we've seen over the past years from this government is they do a lot of backloading and a lot of imposing rules on the provinces. We're looking at being much more flexible partners with provinces and municipalities. The funding will flow through a mechanism similar to the gas tax transfer, which means that it is focused on actually getting into the hands of the municipalities and provincial projects that need to get built in order to grow our economy and invest in Canadians.
Well, okay, but are you saying that this isn't going to cost the provinces anything at all, not a nickel?
No, I think every province and every municipality has different projects that they think that they need to build to grow the economy, to help their citizens, and we're going to be a present and active partner in creating those investments. We believe that it's time that Canada invested in its own future instead of continuing to stall in growth the way Mr. Harper has for the past 8 years.
Okay, so you're talking about $10 billion deficits every year and then balancing the budget in 2019. How much are these deficits going to cost Canadians?
You know what? What's going to cost us is if we continue to have the kind of low growth and cuts that Mr. Harper has been doing for years. He can't get us out of deficit and hasn't been able to for the past 8 years, which is why we're in deficit right now, because he's not growing the economy. We need to make sure that we're investing in the kinds of jobs and growth that Canadians need to be able to be optimistic about their future, to have confidence in not just their own jobs, but their kids' jobs. And that's what I'm entirely focused on.
So $10 billion deficit for 2 years before you get to balance. Is that going to pay for all of your election promises, not just the infrastructure fund, but all of your election promises?
We've committed to a fully costed program, and that is the fiscal framework in which we will operate. We are committed to these promises, and we are committed to balancing the budget in 2019. And actually, the growth created by our plan is what is going to balance the budget in 2019, sorry.
I just want to look at the political side of this for a minute. In the past, you've criticized Stephen Harper for running 6 or perhaps 8 deficits in a row, and yet today you turn around and say you're going to add 2 more years of deficits. Is it wrong for people to look at that and say there's a little bit of political hypocrisy going on?
Absolutely not. Why Mr. Harper hasn't been able to get out of deficit for his 8 straight deficits is because he hasn't invested in Canadians. He hasn't created the growth that Canada needs in order to succeed. The fact is he has the worst record on growth of any leader since R.B. Bennett in the depths of the Great Depression. We need to invest in growth in our economy, and that's why the Liberal Party is confident that we're going to balance the budget in 2019 by growing the economy and investing in Canadians.
Mr. Trudeau, here's what some people are wondering about. They're wondering whether you are now outflanking the NDP on the left and basically leaving Tom Mulcair to occupy the center of politics. It's almost like there's been a role reversal between the Liberals and the New Democrats.
What I'm focused on is growing the economy in a way that's going to actually help all Canadians have a real and fair chance to succeed. What we need is growth, and that's why I'm going to be investing in Canadians, investing in our future. Mr. Mulcair has recognized that we are in deficit right now. And the only way to get into balance next year, like he promises, is going to be through deep cuts. Now, the last thing we need is to cut billions of dollars from the Canadian economy right now when we're in a recession. And he knows this, but he won't talk about it. Instead, he comes up with ridiculous ideas like the notion that he's suddenly going to work out a deal with the provinces in constitutional negotiations and eliminate the Senate in time for April of next year for him to put forward a budget. That's just a ridiculous notion that, quite frankly, insults Canadians and emphasizes the fact that Mr. Mulcair has absolutely no plan to grow the economy and create jobs and opportunity for Canadians.
Justin Trudeau, thanks very much. Awfully good of you to spend the time with us today. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, Tom.